If you ever watched Shark Tank, you've probably seen the people who come on, they're looking for an investment only to be told
you're a product, not a company.
that they're not even a business yet. How do you go from having that first product to running a business with multiple products?
But this is my dream. I want this to be stable.
In my business, I was fortunate to hit on a winner early on. But there's a huge difference between launching a successful product and then coming out with more products to create a successful business. So how do we go from one product to many and create something that's sustainable that can keep you going for years to come? Hi, I'm Cathryn Lavery, founder and CEO of Best Self. I'm also a designer and entrepreneur living in Austin, Texas. I created the Self Journal back in 2015, and we got funded within 28 hours. But more importantly, this one product launched our entire business, and that's actually when Best Self Co. was born. But one product is not enough to create a successful business. Putting all of your eggs in one basket makes you vulnerable, even if it's a superstar product. And while the Self Journal was the first and only 13-week planning and productivity tool back in 2015, there's actually a lot more now because people have kind of jumped on the bandwagon. I remember back in 2017, and I'm looking at our sales and our revenue and seeing that the Self Journal is around 85% of our total sales. And all I see is that's a huge liability and a single point of failure, especially now as there are dozens of journals in this space. And while we were the first and only 13-week based gold journal, now I see them all over the place. If we were still in the position that we were in 2017 with this one product being our huge 85% of our sales, we would not have survived. But how do you extend your product range successfully and profitably without sort of losing touch with your product and the business is doing really well? This dilemma is something that I see entrepreneurs struggle with all the time, and we struggled with it for a couple of years, not really knowing where to go. Initially, we took the obvious route by creating products that supported the journal. For example, the Self Journal had a leather cover to protect your journal, which is called the Shelf Shield. We had a Win the Day pen to write in your journal. We had a Breathe Band, which was another sort of leather product, along with the cover to be more mindful. But it wasn't until the weekly action pad was born that we hit on our next winner. And actually, this product came from a blog post that I wrote in 2014 about how I plan my week successfully, and I only looked at it as a framework for a product years later. After this product, we tried to do a bunch of brand-based products like t-shirts, we did a leather wallet, laptop sleeve, hoodies, what I call Me Too products. They were no different than anything else, and they weren't really driving people to our site. It wasn't until we created the discovery decks that we really created the product development code. And this breakthrough was possible because of this new insight that we had into both becoming a problem-first company, which I have a whole video on, and then how to do product development successfully. And that's when we came up with the idea of product tiers. What was different about the Self Journal, the weekly action pad, and the decks that made these products perform significantly better than all of those Me Too products? The answer was pretty simple, and that's because they solved a real-life problem in the world. And they actually came about after I spent my time doing both lab work and field work. Take the Self Journal. It solves a real-life problem. It helps you break down a goal, write what you're gonna do every day, and actually end the day feeling accomplished. Contrast this with maybe our leather wallet or one of our pens. Yes, they're cool, they're nice to haves if you love our brand, but they're not essential, meaning like there's no way they're going to drive a comparative amount of revenue as the products that are solving these problems. We realize that not all products are created equally. In fact, there are 3 distinct product tiers that you have to understand when you're thinking about your business and how your perception of your product development changes. So here's how it works. Tier A products, these are standalone products that solve a core problem for your customer in the space that your brand serves. So people are actually gonna search out for you. This product will do the marketing for you if it's great and if it solves a problem. At Best Self, these products include the Self Journal, the Self Planner, our Discovery Decks, the Weekly Action Pad. These are products that solve a problem and that people actually come to our site to find. Tier B products only exist because of Tier A products. So Tier B heighten the user experience, they help people find more success with our Tier A products, but nobody's buying them by themselves. An example might be the Self Shield. So you're not gonna buy the Self Shield if you don't have the Self Journal, but they will make the experience better. Tier C products are all of those nice to have branded stuff that no one new to your brand is actually gonna be searching for. But if people love your brand, if they find success with those other Tier A products, they might want to buy. 80% of your products should be in Tier A. If you start with a Tier A product and then start creating these Me Too things, you have to move back to creating more of what your customer finds success with. Now, if you've started an apparel brand or something like that, where that's what your customer came first for, then this might look a little different from you, but you should know what your customer is looking for, like what's their Tier A problem-solving product, and make sure that 80% of your products are in that category. 15% should be in Tier B and maybe 5% in Tier C. So adopt that mix, change it however you want, but you want to make sure that you're spending your time on the right things. If you're spending 80% of your time on Tier C products, that's where your problem is. And that's where I realized with us for a while at Best Self, our problem was we were spending too much time on Tier C products and not enough time on deep work Tier A products, which yes, take a lot more time and energy, but they will also drive a lot more revenue than these Tier C products. Tier A products might take months to create, but you will see how much more useful and how people are gonna come to your business looking for that product. If you don't believe me, let's look at some successful companies and how they arrange their product mix. They usually stick to what they do best, which is their Tier A products. For example, Apple. Tier A would be the computers, the iPhones, now probably the AirPods because they've become so popular, but Tier A was the computers and the iPhones. Tier B would be the Apple TV, the Apple Watch, the AirPods. And then Tier C would be accessories like phone cases or things to use on their products. They don't sell t-shirts or anything like that, which you should take note of. They only focus on what they do best. Tesla. Tier A, of course, would be the cars. Tier B would be like your charger, your key fob, stuff for your car that you're not gonna buy unless you have the car. And Tier C would be accessories like a t-shirt with a logo on it. They're not spending 80% of their times making those t-shirts. Those are like super quick things for super fans of their brand. And then if we think of like a direct-to-consumer company like Casper, of course, Tier A would be the top of line mattress. Tier B would be maybe the pillows, the comforters, the sheets. You're probably not just gonna go on there and buy that, but if you're buying the mattress, you'll get that along with it. And then Tier C might be like their nap pillow or their dog bed. But again, they don't really spend a lot of time on Tier C.
The king has arrived.
So when you're planning your product development timeline, make sure the majority of your time and your team's time is spent on Tier A products because they are gonna be the main drivers for why people come to find your company. And in that regard, they're part of your marketing. Okay, so if you have an idea for a Tier A product, watch the next video on how to take that idea and create a story for it. So every time in Best Self that we come up with a new idea, we create a product story. And this is not just us, this is something that Amazon does, and it led to products like Amazon Prime that now has like 100 million members. So if you're interested in what they do and what we do at Best Self, check out the next video.
All right.